Episode 6. Oh. The Walking Dead Season 8, Episode 6 is a very poor episode. This episode, to me, as a critic of film and television, everything, was a sloppy, poorly paced, disgusting dialogue. The dialogue is atrocious, of course. And things really just not really advancing in the story. These characters in this episode are so just all over the place. This whole episode feels like 3 episodes combined together, but the writers and the actors and everything, every person, the directors, they don't know how to balance these stories that feel completely out of place. For example, Carol is in the woods in one scene in this episode, and this kid, the kid in the hill, whatever, the kingdom. Sorry, he's just comes out of nowhere and starts hitting these walkers, and this scene takes place right after another scene in a different location, and it feels extremely out of place and corny. Now, one of the better scenes in this episode has to be the interaction between Carol and Keen Ezekiel. I think that scene is completely fantastic. I really enjoyed Keen Ezekiel. Keen Ezekiel is one of my favorite characters in Season 8, and Carol is a pretty good character as well. She's gone through a lot of, problems during the series, and I think it was a very, very cool, interaction between these characters. The problem I have is we don't get enough of it in this episode. The episode is called The Keen, the Widow, and Rick. And the weird thing is you really don't see a lot of these characters in this episode because the storyline is jumbled up and skips around in so many places. Now, a lot of these fanboys on YouTube, they're sending messages to other people complaining about the same things that I'm complaining about. And they're like, well, I thought you enjoyed all of these storylines together. I thought you enjoyed the characters, like 3 different groups doing different things, and, not a bottle episode. Okay, fanboy, let me talk to you about something. Oh, yeah, sorry. And they also say, this is what The Walking Dead used to be. Don't you want this? No, I do not, because The Walking Dead, what it used to be, the characters interact with one another. Every single character interact with another character, and every storyline connected with one another. All right? Every storyline connected in some way. And Rick was the main focus of Season 1 and 2. The characters evolved around him. Their storyline changed around him. And sure, in Season 2 we got Lori that went off, but it had a purpose, and it actually had something to do with the episode. Shane went off because Lori was trying to look for Rick. Rick and Glenn, and Herschel they go to this bar. They have to find Herschel, and then they have to get back, but they stumble upon a character they have to save, Randall. Randall becomes a big focus of the second half of Season 2. That's how you do it. This episode, so many things don't work. The part with Carol and that kid inside the woods just feels completely forced and just feels really out of place. Nothing really happens in that scene. He's just out there hitting the zombies and then they go right back. It doesn't need to be in this episode. Another part has to be Michonne and Rosita going on a road trip. The writers are acting like Rosita and Michonne have been in this whole entire season, when in reality we haven't seen them since season 8, episode 1. And it's just incredibly boring that these characters haven't been around since episode 1, and now they're going on this road trip. It feels completely out of place and just extremely rushed. All of these storylines skipping around are really, really messy in this episode. This is a sloppy episode. The directing, too, is really bad. Normally, The Walking Dead doesn't have the best camera, directing and stuff, but this episode was awful. I nearly laughed to death when I was watching Carl and Ahid, I think his name, something like that. Their interaction, the music was so corny and awkward and off. It felt so awkward and rushed, and that's what I hate. Back at the hilltop, Maggie. I don't know why people care about Maggie. She just always has this mean look on her face. She lost Glenn, but my God, Maggie is a boring, poorly written character who they're just trying to make her all awesome. When in reality, she's not. The actor is not like that. She's just boring, in my opinion, bland and boring. Jesus too is a stupid character. All of the characters are really, really stupid. Another thing I hate is Rick going to the junkyard, and we see the weird interactions between these junkyard people. Jadis has like barely any clothes on, and she's like doing all this art stuff. It's very out of place and out there. It's awful. Rick's inside this cage. He's all naked now. They took like his clothes and stuff for some reason. I don't know why they don't just kill Rick. Because he's a main character, and this show sucks. It's written poorly. Another thing I really hate is Carl's interaction, of course, with that guy in this episode. Yes, they met in episode 1, sort of, but he ran away from Carl, and they never really interacted. For Carl to be looking for this guy that he doesn't even know is out of place. This is not Carl's character. Remember season 3, Carl would just kill anyone that he thought was a threat? This is season 8. This is not season 1 or 2. Characters are evil nowadays. You have to be on your toes. You have to be careful. You have to have your gun up. For Carl to be doing this with some pointless character is extremely out of place for Carl. Carl's just talking to this guy, trying to be nice to him. You can't do this, man. You have to tie the guy up and get to know him. I thought season 5, that was like the whole idea, the whole plan in season 5. Rick had to get to know Aaron and stuff. They punched him. They tied him up. That is what you have to do nowadays, okay? Now, I know they're trying to be soft and they're, ooh, Carl's a good guy, It doesn't feel right, okay? And now Michonne and Rosita, that battle scene was laughable. Rosita firing that launcher at the guy is comedic and cartoony as heck. It is so funny to watch. I don't know what they were thinking. It's not action-packed. Now, if she fired a rocket launcher at that truck as it was trying to go down the road, that would have been better. This is what I hate. There's so many missed opportunities in this show. I thought that would have been really cool, but instead she destroys one guy with this rocket launcher when in reality she could have just used it for something else, but she wasted it. Horrible writing. Carol is trying to, for some reason, try to get into King Ezekiel's, kingdom, palace thing, whatever you call it, building. The whole episode, Jerry's just standing out there. Back at the hilltop, Gregory gets put in this cage with all the other saviors from the other episodes. They're put in a cage now. The whole episode, they're just talking. They're trying to give the saviors all of the character, and it just is not working. The part with Rosita and Michonne, there's another major flaw that I've been talking about for a very, very long time. The saviors, these two saviors we've never seen before, I don't believe. Maybe we've seen one of them before, and they're acting like we've seen them in every single episode. The writers are trying to give them character and dialogue, and it just comes off as cringeworthy because we've never seen these characters before. Why can't they be like stormtroopers in Star Wars, where in Star Wars the stormtroopers just get killed off and they don't even say anything? Why do every single character in The Walking Dead, why do they all have to have dialogue and say, hey, we're going to take your stuff. We know you, we're going to kill you. Oh, let's go. Whoa, we're going to kill you now. You're a part of Rick's group, huh? Just shut up. It's forced and rushed. This episode was messy, sloppy. The pacing, the angles, the look of the angles was really, really bad. The camera work was awful and out of place. The music was cringeworthy and funny as heck. It was really funny. I was about to burst out laughing. The interaction between Carl and Zeke, whatever his name is, was awful and out of place. I hated it. The thing with Rick was only in the beginning and the end. What a missed opportunity that was. The episode, for God's sake, is called Rick, the Widow, and the Keen, whatever, something like that. And we don't even focus on Rick and the Keen very often in this episode. The Keen's only at the end, and Rick's only in the beginning and the end. So this episode is just a missed opportunity. It is a very, very messy, convoluted episode with just characters everywhere, all over the place. It doesn't know what it wants. The tone is everywhere. Some scenes it's slow, some other scenes it's really fast-paced for some reason, and then the rest of it is just, it doesn't need to be in the episode. And that is what makes episode 6 a very, very bad episode, for my opinion. Episode 6 was very, very poorly executed. And unfortunately, I'm going to give episode 6 my lowest grade, an F. It's that bad. I had no good qualities. Well, the only good quality was kind of the end with King Ezekiel and Carol talking. I thought that was a very, very touching scene, and I actually enjoyed it. The rest of the episode, however, was very, very poorly executed, and I do not recommend it to anyone who still enjoys this piece of crap show. Episode 6 gets an F. I am so sorry for grading this piece of garbage an F, but it's what it gets. I hope you enjoyed this review, everyone. Leave a like, comment down below, subscribe. What do you think of episode 6? Did I grade it too poorly? I don't know. I thought it was really, really bad, and I have no high hopes. And the funny thing is, when I saw this trailer for episode 6, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. It just kind of looked, even the trailer kind of looked messy. There were so many things going on. And it just doesn't work. Back to the season 1 and 2 thing. In season 1 and 2, the characters, every single character played off of one another. Their storyline went on their storyline, and then their storyline continued. It doesn't work like that anymore, and that's why this episode sucked hairy Wookie balls. I hope you enjoyed my review, everyone. An F, I hated it. Bye, everyone. Bug Eye Mandy signing off. Bye, everyone.